Hi guys, and welcome to the Concrete Construction Channel. Today I wanted to discuss with you the problems that plague small businesses across America. Now, the issues that I want to discuss are among just the regular struggles of small business, how COVID-19 and now these riots that are breaking out in a few states in America are going to affect small businesses going forward, and how this can very well be the beginning of the end for many small business owners, if almost everyone. The basic problem is that people do not have enough cash stashed away in case there's a problem. That is the fundamental issue in America. It's been a problem now, I would say, for at least the last 30 some odd years, maybe even longer than that. The issue is that most economists say that a small business should have enough cash money in their account to survive 3 to 6 months of expenses. So that means that if you are not working, you have enough money behind you in the bank that can come out and keep the business afloat if something should happen. 3 to 6 months of your expenses. Many economists agree, and this came out in the beginning of the COVID-19 crisis, that most Americans should have 6 months reserve. That if they are not working, they can stay afloat with their expenses for 6 months. Finance guru Suze Orman says you should have 8 months of money reserved in case you don't have a job. So let's just say your expenses are $5,000 a month just to stay solvent. You should have $40,000 saved in an account that's untouchable. 40,000, because many people, it takes them 8 months to find a new job. These are staggering numbers. These are numbers that are not realistic in today's small business. Okay? It's not even existent on a personal level. Most Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. And I think that the issues with that are, some of them are world issues, economic issues that are out of the person's control, but some of the issues are on a personal level, as us as people, that we make mistakes and we're not managing our money properly. The importance of having money in the bank that's liquid money, that's ready to go at a moment's notice if you should have a problem, people don't believe in it anymore. And part of that problem is because the banks don't give you interest anymore. So if you're saving money and a bank is giving you 0.01%, it amounts to pennies over the year. Even if you're saving 6 figures, it's pennies. It doesn't do anything. So people think of investing money, or they just spend it. They just really don't care. They think they can make it back later. And the thing is, there's going to come a day, like with the coronavirus. Now you can't work. And if unemployment isn't there for you, what do? And a lot of people are day to day and paycheck to paycheck. And living like that is not only unhealthy for you stress-wise, but it's financially unhealthy for you future-wise, because you're not putting any money away for your retirement. You can't work forever. Once you get into your 60s and 70s, you cannot produce like you produced in your 20s. And that's another problem that people don't face. Like, you're getting older. You're not going to be able to do this forever. So that's another issue. But as far as the small business end of this is concerned, a lot of people don't believe in keeping money in the business. They believe that in order to get around taxes, they want to operate in a balanced budget or a negative budget. So when you operate in a balanced budget, a perfect example would be the state of Florida. Whatever money they take in, they spend. that is extremely dangerous, okay? When things are flowing and everything is working out well, there are no problems. But as soon as you have a slight hiccup, it becomes a tremendous problem. And a lot of businesses operate in that fashion, A, to get around taxes, and B, because the owners do not know how to manage money correctly. Now, the biggest issue that I see among small business owners is growing. Everybody wants to grow, and that's great. And I'm not ever going to tell anyone not to grow or try to get bigger and be better. But the problem is that growing, you have to grow properly. So when you grow a business, and I see it on YouTube, a lot of these guys claim that they're experts on growing, and they wouldn't know their ass from their elbow. And a lot of guys, if you're watching YouTube and you really follow some of these guys, they're retracting their statements. They're actually going backwards. They're going back to the way that they were previously, because at the end of the day, they weren't making any extra money, or they were losing money. And the reason being is they didn't grow properly. I'll use an example of a local contractor that I know and I'm friendly with. He would answer the phone, whoever called him, he would take the job. Did not care if he was too busy to do it. He took it anyway. Instead of hiring more managers or more site supervisors, he just hired anybody off the street, threw them into the job. They couldn't manage, the managers and himself could not keep up with the workers and what was going on. And what ended up happening was it ruined his reputation. He ended up having a load of problems on projects, and he had to go back and fix a lot of issues that people had. That's growing improperly, and that's how a lot of people on YouTube do this. The first thing they think of is, well, I have more phone calls, I have more work, so the first thing they do, if they're in the field that I'm in, they buy machines, they buy equipment. I don't know why. They'll buy equipment. There's this one guy on YouTube that just buys machines randomly. There's no rhyme or reason to what he's doing. He just buys equipment. It's easy to sign your name and go out the door. But that machine costs money every month. And if you can't justify the money that it's going to cost you, even if it's at 0%, that machine is going to cost you X amount of dollars a month just to own, forget the payments and the insurance, just to own, to park it if it's not working. Just that alone can sink you. And the other problem is they hire cheap labor. They don't go for the managers. If you want to put together another crew, well, you can hire 2 or 3 new workers, but you have to hire a manager to manage them. Because now, let's say you're running your own crew, and now this crew is functioning on its own. What's going to happen? They're either not going to they may not do the job right, they may not be as thorough as maybe you would have liked them to be, they may not be as skilled as you think they are or hope that they are, or you may just hire guys who really don't give a rat's ass. They're there for the day, they really don't care, and you're not there to watch them and make sure that everything's getting done that needs to get done. So that's part of the problem, and a lot of guys will throw thousands and thousands of dollars away trying to do this because they think like, oh, the phone rang, I gotta do this job. I'm just gonna hire 2 people off the street and throw them in there and hope for the best. And while I'm at it, I'll buy another machine to give to that crew, and that's just the end of it. And they think it's kind of like autopilot. You know, they send it out, hope it turns out right, and that's it. But the problem is that they're not realizing the added cost that they are exposing themselves to and all of the risk that goes with it. It's fine to grow, but you have to grow properly. If you're going to expand your operation, you yourself can only do so much in a day. If you're working with a crew, forget about having a second crew. If you're actually a worker in crew A, you cannot have crew B because you can't leave crew A. You're one of their men. It's perfectly fine to operate a business that way. You do not have to be a guy that arrives in a suit and just points the finger, A, B, C, D, and leaves. You can be a worker. I'm a worker. So So there's nothing wrong with that. And in many aspects, you will probably be more profitable in that way. You may gross less money, but you'll be more profitable. And at the end of the day, the percentage of profit is what matters in the end. And in my opinion, more money in your pocket is better anyhow. So the number one thing that I feel that businesses are having issues with, that they can't survive a month of being closed. And I'm not saying it's good that businesses are still closed. It's not good, and it's not right. But the thing is that these businesses should have had reserve funds to get them through this period, even without government assistance. And the thing is that I'm not blaming them. I'm not saying they did anything necessarily wrong. It's just that they managed in a balanced budget, or they did not manage money properly, or they wasted money when the economy is good. That's the number one thing I always tell people in my business with equipment. Never try to not buy equipment. Not never, but try to not buy equipment when things are roaring, because you're going to be paying tippity-top dollar for that machine that after a recession or a hiccup in the economy, you could get that machine for $15,000, $20,000 off. I haven't moved on equipment since 2013 is when I bought the other skid steer loader, and I haven't looked at equipment since. Now, the F650 with the switch and go I had to buy because the truck broke down. I had no choice. But I bought a used truck at a very fair rate. I didn't just go to Ford, sign my name, go to Switch and Go, sign my name, and say, well, I'll pay this later. Maybe it'll come, maybe it won't. That's the problem what a lot of people do. They're kind of blind in the way that they operate, and you have to be very strategic, because making money is very difficult. And you can't take it for granted that the economy is always going to be shooting to the stars. You have to be ready if things have a setback. And if you don't have cash behind you, and I'm not talking about liquid cash that, is in your wallet. I'm talking about money in the bank that can come out at a moment's notice. It's not tied up in an IRA. It's not tied up in some investment or ABC. It's liquid, ready to go. And that's what I think we need to start preaching to kids in schools. The value of liquid money in the bank, which we have devalued because of the credit card age. So now a business owner, or even a personal person, who goes out, and let's just say you have, I'm just going to use a rough number, $5,000 in collateral. The credit card company gives you $15,000 limit, but you only have $5,000. You charge $8,000 because, well, whatever, I'll pay it later. But when later comes, you only have $5,000 to pay on that $8,000. So now what happens to the other three? Now they'll charge you 20, 21, 25% interest on that you're going to have to pay as time goes on. But then the next month, you charge another $6,000. So now that $3,000 became $9,000, plus all the interest you're incurring. You've dug yourself a hole that is going to be extremely, extremely difficult to dig yourself out of again. And the thing is, when you open a business right out of the gate, you're going to be operating in a negative budget in all likelihood. You're not going to be taking off like a jet, at the beginning. So if COVID-19 happened and you were just getting off the ground, you're in big trouble, and it's not your fault. But for these businesses that have been operating for decades, it's absolutely, what's the word I'm looking for? It's irresponsible, but it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable that these business owners have been working under these practices for so many years with a balanced budget or even a negative budget, and they're not saving any money in the interim if something should go wrong. You can't always think that everything's going to go right. You can't predict the future. No one has a crystal ball. So it's very critical that we got to get back to fundamentals of finance and budget management. You cannot run a balanced budget in a business. I never believed in it. And I'm not saying that I was prepared for this. I wasn't. So I'm talking to you out of experience. I'm not going to be out of business by the time we reopen, but I'm significantly hurt. And a lot of people are. Even a lot of strong companies have been hurt. But the thing is, a lot of these other companies that are on the fringe, they're on the fringe because their owners mismanaged the money, whether they mismanaged it, just squandered it, or they tried to grow improperly and it ended up costing them in the end. It is unacceptable that, yes, we've been closed for a couple of months, that they're saying nearly half of the small businesses are going to be closed in America when this is all over. That is unacceptable. These are unacceptable numbers. And to me, it's really, Suze Orman is unacceptable too. Many people cannot stash 8 months of money to live because it's too expensive to live now. Unless you're making well over 6 figures, it is just not feasible for you to reach that goal. So you have to find a happy medium in that. But we have to get back as a country, back to the fundamentals, where having money in the bank is important. And I don't think that President Trump should do these, I can't think of the word that they use, but they charge banks if they have a surplus of money. There's a penalty to it, that they have to loan it out. That is a huge mistake. I believe it's called negative interest. You can't do that. That's not how America works. You need to be able to have a reserve of money. Otherwise, you'll be out of business as soon as the poop hits the fan. And that's unacceptable. You should be able to muddle through a tough time or a tough period in time. And it's unacceptable that the taxes are so significantly high for small businesses. It's unacceptable that, business owners operate with a balanced budget. It's just improper thinking. And it has to be corrected. As we pull out of this coronavirus phase, we all, including myself, have to rethink the way we operate moving forward, on a personal level, on a business level, and as a country as a level. It can't just be the way it was. And 2008 should have shown people what could happen in a major meltdown economically. And it's almost like no one learned anything. The banks learned for a little while, but they got a little wild in the end. They didn't go super wild. They did learn their lesson to a point, but it's almost like we have learned nothing as a whole since the financial crisis of 2008, and that is what's unacceptable. So, guys, if you agree with me or disagree with me, leave it in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up. It means a lot to me. And hopefully we'll be reopening soon, and I'll have some new videos to share with you. Till then, guys, be safe, take care, be well, and I'll talk to you guys